Welcome to the Touch MBA Admissions Podcast. Do you need help figuring out which schools to apply to or how to get into the world's top MBA programs? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others on this podcast and on our site, touchmba.com, as they seek the admissions edge. And now, here's your host, Darren Joe.
Hey, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast. I'm your host, Darren, and I want to wish you all a happy 2015. We're back. We are back, and I want to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day as well, which is related to this week's topic, which I think is so important and such an often misunderstood part of the application, which is how to show you're a good fit for these schools you're applying to. As you know, here at Touch MBA, what we like to do is interview admissions directors from the world's top business schools, as well as students, and really get the inside perspective on what that school's all about and how you can best improve your chances of getting in. Before we get started, I also wanted to let you know that we have a free school selection help service at touchmba.com. All you have to do is tell us a bit more about yourself, your career goals, and your profile, and we'd be happy to, give you some admissions tips on how you can improve your profile, as well as give you some best fit school recommendations. And you can also share your CV with 8 top business schools around the world with one click. So that's what we do at touchmba.com. We are trying to help make this whole school selection process easier for you. So go head over and check that out. Today, I thought I'd share 4 tips to demonstrate that you're a good fit for your target schools. I used to be in admissions for over 3 years, so I've seen thousands of essays and applications. So I thought I'd share these 4 tips because these are 4 common errors that I see repeatedly. And that's not to say I blame applicants. If I was applying for the first time to an MBA program, I'd probably make the same mistakes. But I want to share these 4 tips so that you can really show the admissions reader and the school that you are indeed a good fit. All right? So I'm going to start with the more tactical tips at the beginning and then end with the more strategic ones. All right, so my first tip is to treat fit like dating. I want you to have a metaphor in your mind when you're demonstrating fit with an MBA program. What would you do if you were dating? Now, granted, some of us aren't very good at dating. Some of us are better than others at dating. But what I'm getting at here is you never want to say in your application that school X is the perfect school for me. Or to say something like, I have no doubt that school X is the best school for me. All right. Instead of saying school X, I know that's annoying, I'll use HKU, Hong Kong University, which is a top MBA program in Asia. Okay. I just had a client who applied there. And in her essays, she would say stuff like, yeah, HKU, it's the perfect school to me. I have no doubt that HKU is the best school for me. If you had just met a girl or a guy and you're on your first or second date and you say, I know that you're the perfect partner for me, or I have no doubt that you are the best person I could ever date, you would really freak that person out, right? And that's the same reaction that business schools have when applicants say stuff like that. So when I would read an application at my old business school and someone would say, SMU is by far, the most perfect school for me, that would send off alarm bells in my head because I don't think that's really realistic. A better way to show your excitement for a school is to say something like, it's my number one choice. It's my top choice. Or I believe HKU would be a great fit for me because. So that shows more maturity in your thinking and more realistic expectations when you're trying to get that point across. So I totally understand, you want to show your dream school that yes, this is the perfect fit for me, but how do you really know that? I mean, you won't really know that unless you go through a quote unquote relationship with a school. So I would avoid those big superlatives like perfect, no other choice, no doubt that this is the best school for me, and be more down to earth. Say it's your top choice. Let your stories tell the rest. Okay, so that's my first tip. Second tip, which is also more of a tactical tip, is that you want to speak the same language as your tribe. How do I know that someone might be from the West Coast of the US as opposed to the East Coast? How do I know that someone maybe grew up in California? Maybe I say dude a lot, right? If I say dude a lot, people will automatically associate me with California if you're from the US. If you have an accent, maybe you're from Italy or you're from Australia or New Zealand, you speak a certain language. And I'm speaking literally here when I talk about accents and phrases and so forth. But another way you can demonstrate that you're a great fit for your target school is you speak the same language as the school does, as its admissions team does, as its students do, as its alumni do. So one very concrete example. I had James Clark, who graduated from LBS last year, on the show, and he was talking about how every top business school groups students together in cohorts or streams or oceans or sections. For example, at London Business School, you're in a stream of 60 to 90 people. Now, if you were interviewing for London Business School, or maybe you're writing an essay and you're talking, about how you really want to learn a lot from your classmates, and instead of calling it a stream, you say, I can't wait to meet all my classmates in my section. That's going to set off alarm bells because it clearly shows you haven't done your research on that school. You haven't spoken with enough alums. You haven't really investigated the program to know that they don't call them sections. They call them streams. The same thing goes for example, in your essays, when you're talking about classes you're really excited about, make sure you're calling those classes by the right names. Maybe at one school it's called operations, and maybe at another school it's called managing operations. Make sure you get those little details right. This will kind of be like osmosis. The more information sessions you go to, maybe you do a campus visit, maybe you talk to some students and some alumni, you'll start to hear how they talk and how they describe the program, and you want to speak that same language. And that shows that you fit, or that at least you want to fit. I think that's a very powerful tip. Speak the same language as the tribe you want to join. It happens in whether you're joining companies or schools or different interest groups. That's tip number 2. All right, now let's move into a bit more strategic tips, which are tip number 3. Don't rehash the brochure or website or repeat the school's marketing pitches. So let me give you an example. This is my same client who applied to HKU. This is a paragraph she wrote in her statement of purpose as to why she thought HKU was the right fit for her. I have no doubts that the HKU is the right place for me. Okay, are you spotting the error? That's error number 1. Never say I have no doubts or HKU is the perfect place, etc. Anyways, let's continue on. The extensive alumni network, small class size, close interactions between faculty members and students, and the unique curriculum all appeal to me. The diverse class will allow me to widen my horizon by interacting and learning from classmates with different backgrounds. The school's curriculum, with a strong focus on Asia, in particular China, and the collaboration with LBS or Columbia, combining the best of East and Western education, are further advantages. The China Immersion Program will allow me to gain a better insight into how Chinese businesses work and to broaden my network in the region, which will be useful to my future career. Hong Kong, the gateway to China and the home to the world's top financial institutions and multinational companies, make it the perfect place to learn about business. Okay, so she's spent, almost 100 words talking about why she believes HKU is the right place for me. And here's the error. How much more do you know about her from that paragraph? 0. And that's the key to this strategy, is if someone else, if some other applicant can say the exact same thing, then that paragraph is not showing fit. Does that make sense? Right? Anyone else, 10 other applicants could have written the exact same paragraph about the extensive alumni network, the diverse class, the collaboration with Columbia and London Business School, the China Immersion Program will help her expand her network in China. Everyone else who applies, well, not everyone, but a lot of other applicants probably wrote the exact same thing. This doesn't make the admissions reader think, oh yes, this candidate is a great fit for HKU. What should you do here? This is what we did. Just to give a little context, this candidate is actually an MD. She's a doctor and she's from Singapore and she's been working in the UK for many years. And she wants to get into healthcare in China and Southeast Asia. This is what she wrote. She wrote, HKU's reputation and extensive alumni network will allow me to broaden my relationships in the region and build on my career goals in the healthcare sector. HKU is also renowned for its faculty of medicine and social sciences. The rheumatology department at HKU is world-renowned for its research on lupus, and I hope to attend related seminars to keep my medical knowledge up to date. And HKU's social science department also has public seminars on issues related to China development issues and social entrepreneurship for health, which will allow me to gain a better understanding of the issues and problems with the Chinese healthcare system. And then lastly, she talks about how she'd like to volunteer with some different medical organizations in Hong Kong. But as you can see, I doubt anyone else could say that in their fit paragraph. How many other applicants talked about the university as a whole and the other resources the university could provide, which, let me say, is a selling point that HKU puts forth, is that we're part of this world-class university in Asia. But she's doing it in her own way that's very related to her career goals and her past experiences as an MD. Those are things that are really relevant to what she wants to do in the future. And that's a much better way of showing fit. So again, I sound like a broken record, but the key question you want to ask when you're reading your own fit paragraphs is, can someone else write the same thing? If they can't, then you're on the right track. And my last tip in terms of showing fit is don't say it, but be it. So Ralph Waldo Emerson is a famous poet and essayist from the US. And I love this quote. He says, "What you do speaks so loud that I can't hear what you're saying." When you're trying to show your quote unquote fit qualities, I would almost encourage you to not use the buzzwords that schools use in their brochures and websites. Let me give you an example. So for HKU, I recently had Sachin Tipnis, who's the executive director there, on the show. And he says who they're really looking for are people with a passion for Asia, who appreciate diversity and who appreciate working together collaboratively. All right, these are three of the fit qualities he's looking for. And I encourage you to listen to past podcasts for your target schools and see what admissions directors have said about their schools. But instead of saying in your essay or in your interviews, oh, I have a passion for Asia, or believe in diversity, or something like, I'm a very collaborative person, right? That just falls flat. Anyone can say that. You have to be those traits. So what do I mean by that is you want to tell stories that show these qualities, that demonstrate them so powerfully that you don't even have to mention their names. For this same candidate who is a doctor who wants to expand healthcare in China and enter that industry, her career goal is to expand her family business and start more outpatient clinics to provide affordable healthcare in China. She doesn't have to say she has a passion for Asia. This is clearly a part of her plan. Does that make sense? Second thing, diversity is a fit quality for HKU. So one of the stories that this applicant tells in her essays is how, as a doctor, she's had to deal with a lot of different types of patients working for the National Health Service in the UK. She talks about one example of how to talk to the family of an ill Pakistani mother. She had many children and they all wanted to do something different with her. I mean, she was basically very close to passing away and there's not much more the doctors could do to save her. So how do you talk to people of a different culture than you and to siblings that all want to do different things? That's a really sensitive situation. And she talks about that story and what she ended up doing. And that story really demonstrates that she has a nuanced understanding of an experience with dealing with people of different backgrounds and how to make a tough situation work. So again, she never says she believes in diversity. Well, she just tells that story. And it's quite clear that in her line of work, she's had to do that. Finally, the third fit trait is being collaborative. And remember, you can get other people to tell your stories for you. So that's what recommendations are for. This candidate, one of her recommenders, had gotten a lot of feedback from her other fellow doctors on how much they enjoyed working with this applicant. And that's better than anything else you can say about being collaborative, right? If someone else, say a superior in your recommendations, really talks about how this is one of your biggest strengths as a doctor, then, I mean, you can't get any more convincing than that. Okay, so to recap these 4 tips, how to show you're a good fit for your target school. Number 1, treat it like it's dating. In other words, you're never going to say on the first or second date that you're my perfect fit or that there's no other option but you, right? That just sounds unrealistic. The second tip is to speak the same language as the school you want to join. Speak the language of that tribe. So do your research, talk to a lot of students and alumni and professors and administrators, and soon enough, you'll speak like one of them. It'll seem like you fit in. The third tip is to don't rehash the brochure or website of the school in your essays. Don't waste that precious real estate repeating what the school has already said. And you can test this by asking yourself, can someone else say the same thing as I just did? Writing 100 words on why this school is a good fit for me. If another person can write the exact same thing, you're not showing fit clearly enough. The fourth and final tip is don't say it, be it. So you almost don't want to mention the buzzwords. You just want to give such compelling stories and examples, not just through you, maybe through your recommendations as well, that demonstrate that you embody these fit qualities. You don't say it, you show it. All right, that's it for this week. I can't wait to do more episodes for you guys. We'll be bringing in a lot more students and alumni this year, along with admissions directors, to share their journeys on the show. And stay tuned.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your #1 school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA. See you soon.